Hey, how you doing? Justin here. Today we are checking out Cinnamon Girl by Neil Young off his incredible Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere album. It's an incredible tune, lots of really interesting things to check out and some all-time classic riffs. If you dig what I do, please consider hitting that subscribe button down there. I really appreciate your support. And remember, I've got loads and loads more Neil Young lessons because I'm a huge fan. You find them all nicely ordered with links around for different lessons over on the website. So do check out the link in the description too. So a few things to cover before we get stuck into the details. The first one is that the track is kind of double tracked. Double track is normally when you play the same part but pan it hard left and right, so each part is coming out of separate speakers. In this case, it's two different guitar players, so it's Neil Young in one speaker and Danny Whitten in the other speaker. I think it's Neil in the left and Danny in the right. It's my best guess, just because there's a few kind of un-Neilish things in the right speaker going on, but then the solo comes out and that's in the right speaker and that's probably Neil, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on there in the mix. But what I'm going to show you is a general part, and then I'll give you a little bit of detail about how the parts are separated and the things to look out for that you may or may not want to incorporate into your own version. Okay, so it's just like little subtle things about how a chord is played, whether it's left to ring out, whether there's little muted hits and that kind of thing. So I'll try and give you as much detail as I can, but if you really want to get into it, then I suggest you check out the original recording, either listen to just one headphone at a time. I think headphones are really great for listening to this kind of really hard left and right thing, or you can use software like I use called Transcribe, which means that you can separate the speakers and have the same one speaker sound coming in both headphones. That can be a kind of an interesting way of checking out as well. But generally, listening to the track as it was made with the hard left and right will give you some of the way the interplay between the guitar parts is really fantastic on this record. So the other thing really important to mention is that both guitar parts are in double drop D. That means that both E strings, the thicker string and the thinner string, are tuned down one tone. So the tuning will end up being D, A, D, G, B, and D. Basically, if you play a D chord and lift off your second finger, you get this really nice big fat D chord. Now, I should explain my guitar choice as well, because I'm sure there's Neil Young fans going, like, what are you doing playing that on a Stratocaster and it's pink? And fair enough, but I've got a gold top which I was using to the start of this lesson, but there's something funny with the electrics and it keeps crackling and cutting out and stuff, so this is the best or closest sound I could get with this guitar. I'm not exactly sure what guitar Danny played, but it's quite a lot spanglier. The sound coming in the right speaker is a little bit brighter, and I'm not displeased with the tone of this. I'm just using the Victory V40 with a bit of gain into the Universal Audio aux box. Pedals, I've got a little bit of reverb coming from an Immerse reverberator, and I'm using a pedal called the Duelist with a little bit of crunch, but not a whole heap of crunch on that. It's just, yeah, trying to get that thick sound. The original recording is definitely like your Fender Deluxe sort of thing, a tweed amp, but really, really hard, driven hard, like really loud. Which with a Les Paul with a humbucker gives you that kind of almost like a fuzz kind of an effect on the, particularly on the left hand side. The right hand side's a little brighter. So I think that's enough of the stuff that we need to cover before we get into the details. So let's start checking out the parts one at a time. Riff 1. There's lots of variations, but let me take you through the basic gist of it first of all. So first finger covering the thinnest 4 strings at the 5th fret. Then third finger going down the 7th fret covering the thinnest 4 strings. So 5, 7, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Now this is kind of like a C chord. I see some people play it like a C chord, but it looks like Neil Young's playing it like that. Not 100% certain, seems to change it a little bit as well, but it's like the bottom part of a C chord. So 3rd fret, 5th string, that is, first finger going down the 2nd fret of the 4th string, maybe the open G. Sometimes it's just individual notes. Sometimes it's more chordy, a little bit looser, and that's fine too. So the basic idea is, so 3rd fret, 2nd fret, open A string, and then we've got this F to G. This is an F because of the tuning, thickest 3 strings at the 3rd fret, and then the G, which is the thickest 3 strings at the 5th fret. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Okay, so second time it just stays on the F there. Now, this little rundown, sometimes it's this with this second finger play, second fret playing on the 4th string. Usually this note is by itself, but on the open strings it's usually the open A and the D ringing together. Now sometimes it's framed, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, that's usually the right hand speaker that's doing this little extra bit. The left hand usually 1 and 2 and 3, 4, and it just trails off. And sometimes again on the right hand you get a bit of this little muted thing going on before the riff. It happens at various points different ways, so there's not really a specific pattern that I think I should try and explain. So just have a muck around with that as the basic pattern and see, you know, listen to the record and pick up any more detail that you want. Again, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Now on the picking with this one, Neil seems to be playing all down picks, which is unusual for him because he generally keeps pretty strict time down and up with the strumming hand, but definitely for this part it seems to be all down. Again, he does tend to keep the hand moving, so it's just moving a little faster than usual for that section only. But when we get to the next part, we go back into the kind of the 8th note feel. So that's the main riff that we hear at the beginning. When we get into the verse, we've got a D chord, but with the second finger off. Okay, so just the open 4th string, 1st finger 2nd fret, 3rd string, 3rd finger 3rd fret, 2nd string, and the open thinner string. Now, the way Neil's playing, particularly the right hand, is important. So it's a continuous 8th note. But you get into this habit of being able to pick, particularly the up picks, are picking out individual strings. Okay, so it goes from the D, A minor. Okay, A minor. Can you see I'm just playing, I tend to be doing a light brush down from the 5th string with a down, and then I'm picking out strings individually with the up picks. There's definitely in the, again, the right hand guitar, which picks up Cinnamon Girl, the melody. So he'd use down, up, down, up. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. C. Now this last chord, so it went from regular C chord, of course with this open D string, ends up being a C add 9, but it goes to a G chord. Now it's G with a B bass. Okay, so we're using our 2nd finger there on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. Little finger's also going down the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Now you can play that chord just with the, you know, just with the 2nd finger and leave the open B string open. It's in the chord, but it doesn't sound right. You definitely want to have that 2nd finger there on the, sorry, the little finger there on the 2nd string 3rd fret. Then we're into the next riff. So let me just take you through that one more time. So D, A minor, C. I should mention, yeah, sometimes Neil's doing that as well, which is a very Neil thing to do, and that's happening in the left speaker. Another reason why it might be the left speaker is the Neil one. So D, A minor, C, G with a B bass, and that takes us nicely into riff 3. Now, I've watched a few videos of Neil playing this, and he is doing the consistent 8th note strumming, which makes it a little harder. It's kind of easier to do all down strums, so you might want to start with down strums and worry about the picking later on. So we've got the same chords we used at the beginning. So 3rd fret, thickest 3 strings with the 1st finger, 5th fret, thickest 3 strings, making sure that the 3rd finger kind of lifts up enough there to not play the 3rd string. Sometimes I'm getting it by accident, but so's Neil occasionally, so don't worry about it too much if that extra note sneaks in from time to time, but try and avoid it. So 3rd fret, 5th fret, open, thickest 2 strings, I think. You could hit the thickest 3. Okay, and then 5th fret, thinnest 4 strings, 7th fret, thinnest 4 strings. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Okay, now here, this on beat 4, I'm pretty sure I'm hearing that note in the right speaker and this note in the left speaker as the highest note. Okay, on the one on beat 4. Watching Neil, he seems to jump for beat 4 down to here and play like a D chord, but I think I can hear that note, but I don't think he's playing that. He could be, so Neil could be going, but that just seems a little bit too complicated for him. I'm not sure that's right. So either he's doing it slightly different on the record to the way he plays it live, or he's doing and just going straight to the D, regular D. The D is the highest note. Okay, I don't think I hear that on the record, but so it's a little bit confusing when the eyes and the ears don't marry up. But anyway, that's again, I tend to play both of them up there, to be honest. That's how it sounds most complete as one guitar part to my ears. Okay, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2. Okay, now this is interesting. It's like the thinnest 4 strings of a C chord. I don't think he's playing that. Again, on the record sometimes I think I can hear it, but looking at him playing it live, he very rarely seems to be putting that 3rd finger anywhere near that. So I think he's just doing this. Okay, so 1st finger, 1st fret, 2nd string, 2nd finger, 2nd fret, 4th string only. It's like an A minor 7 shape. And it's down strum, up is the fingers off, put them back down again, and then add 3rd finger and do an upstroke, trying to catch that A string, which is a bit awkward on an upstroke. You probably need thumb over, I mean, I'm getting into a bit pedantic here, but thumb probably wants to mute that thicker string for the A upstroke as well if you're going to try and do that. Okay, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, and again. All downstrokes does feel a little easier, and it could be the right guitar is using all down picks. I can't decide one way or the other, but definitely watching Neil, if you watch a video of him playing it, it's this motion with the hand. It's a very Neil Young thing to do, is to keep the strumming hand moving really consistently. It really helps, I think, locking into the groove and all of that sort of stuff. So that's the main parts. You've got the first one, the verses, and this other riff. Okay, and just listening to the variations that you get on that, how they're played, particularly in the verses. One guitar tends to be a bit straighter and the other one is a lot more arpeggiated. So you can really hear it in the solo, which is what I'm going to talk about next. So that's a good thing to listen out for, is the rhythm playing behind the solo. Okay, don't just listen to the solo, check out the way the notes are played individually behind the solo. Now the solo, again, real super simple, classic Neil Young. It's just killer, amazing stuff. It's just the note D. doubling the note D, so playing the note D, 3rd fret on the 2nd string and the open D. And you just fit right at the end. 1st finger in the 1st fret of the 2nd string, and then the thinnest 2 strings together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it's again. Now, here at the end, I did kind of work out what was going on, but I've since forgotten it, and it's played different every time, so I'll show you what he's doing, but it's not... I don't think you should aim to be playing it exactly with the record, because even I found that really difficult after I'd written it down and worked it out, trying to remember it and get it in time. So it's basically a D chord with the 1st and 3rd finger, 2nd finger is off, and we do open A string, the 5th string, hammer the 2nd finger down in the 3rd fret, and then play the little D chord. Then he goes, which is again the same kind of thing, but now on the 4th string, open 4th string, hammer the 2nd finger down on the 3rd fret, and then play the chord. Then the 3rd time, I think it's... So... He's hammering now the 2nd finger down the 3rd fret of the 3rd string. Then I think it goes back to the 5th string. I can't remember the order after that, just to remember the first part. And then just make it up as you like. At the end he hits the thickest string, and then there's some little harmonics just very lightly. At the background you can hear it's the 7th fret, the thinnest 3 strings, little harmonic. Oh, I think the thinnest string's not quite ringing out as the normal harmonic, but again I'm getting pretty fussy. That'll be up to you. Nearly forgot to mention the chords for the bridge as well. That would have been a bit of a blunder. The bridge chord, starting off with a C bar chord, but the 3rd finger is kind of laying down flat, which you can do in this tuning. So nothing on the thicker string, then 3rd fret, 5, 5, 5, 5. Okay, and it's kind of, the notes are picked out again. Then it's going to this really lovely G minor. So 1st finger is playing possibly the thinnest 4 strings. Neil would normally play the drop D, so thinnest 4 strings with the 1st finger, and then 3rd and 4th fingers in the 5th fret of the thickest 2 strings. So 5, 5, 3, 3, 3, 3. Now, when I was listening to it in detail, I'm not hearing that note in there. So I think it might be this. So 5th fret, muted 5th string, 5th fret, 3rd string on the thinnest 3 strings, to an A major. Okay, going to an A major chord there. So the bridge is going from the C I really hope you enjoy playing Cinnamon Girl. I certainly had a fine old time this morning going through and unearthing a bit more of this tune that of course I'm familiar with the tune, but when I do these lessons I try and dig a little bit under the surface and listen a bit deeper and try and figure out exactly what's being played how and how the parts are linked together, exactly what's being played. There's loads of interesting things here to check out rhythmically, what notes are being played, some real kind of fun quirky stuff like this weird clapping that comes in the second half of the solo. There's a really nice clapping pattern doing this, pattern. So it just thinks like were they in the studio and just somebody said, I think we really need a bit of clapping here, I love stuff like that you can hear these little interesting, and it's kind of loud enough to notice, and it really adds something. It's just a weird thing, but one of those crazy little bits of magic that gets sprinkled around on the tracks. Anyway, plenty more Neil Young coming up. I've been a bit neglectful of my Neil Young passion, so I'm going to try and get stuck into a bit more of his stuff. Particularly, I think the electric things is what I'm feeling at the moment. So hopefully you'll join me for that. Please do subscribe if you dig what I do. I appreciate your support, and I'll see you for plenty more very soon. You take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.